In this segment, we'll discuss how much is your business worth.
Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this is a special series all about selling your business in Canada. Joining me on this segment is business broker expert Jim Nairn. Jim, welcome to the program.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Can you introduce us to the principles of business valuation and why it's important for business owners to have a clear, understanding of how valuations are determined?
Indeed. So this is a huge part of what I do in that being able to have a business owner that I'm working with understanding the value of their business is paramount, as a lot of people when they own a business for like 20 to 30 years or more, say, and they've been working in there, they've had to fill and cover the shifts when people have been sick, or there's been emergency breakdowns on equipment and they have to go in and fix it, whatever the case may be. Over the years, they've just built up that extra level of attachment to the business, right? That it's almost becomes like part of the family, one of the children, if you will, and they get that actual literal sentiment in relationship to the business, where they feel that it's worth more because of all of that attachment and the extra time and sweat equity that they put into it, which is totally understandable. Like I would be in the same boat, and but unfortunately, when you're dealing with the general public that's going to be looking in to come and take over the business, they don't have that same level of attachment that historically the business owner has built up. So they're more looking at, the kind of what the most recent historical performance of the business has been, and combined with where they see they can take the growth for the business in the future. So they're willing to pay you on your past performance of the business, and then they're willing to gamble on what they can do with that to build the business to get a good return on their investment moving forward.
Jim, what is the biggest challenge or most frequently asked question that you get from business owners in regards to, the valuation of their business? What do you hear?
There's one that they always like to come at. They want to try to get an understanding of the value of the business without actually having a full valuation completed. They want to just have that quick answer, say, okay, you know what, here's my last couple of years of what I earned. This is what I made. Just tell me what it's worth, right? And it's just not that simple. Unfortunately, there are usually several weeks and several sometimes up to several hundred hours of work that goes into conducting a proper valuation on a business. And we can give you a general ballpark sometimes if we have experience in that industry that says, you know what, your business could be worth, say, anywhere from 1.25 to 1.75 million. Again, just giving them a ballpark, but to really have that understanding, you need to be able to drill down and do the investigation, which is also required because when we're going through the next stages of trying to prepare the business to sell and working on the negotiations of after a potential offer has been accepted, a lot of that work that we do to gather the financial information and to separate everything, to identify any bumps and blips in their numbers, we can have an explanation for that all ready to go. We can have all the verifications and the justifications of why this happened, what caused this, and why it really doesn't matter and make a difference in the overall aspect of the business, because we've done that digging, we've done the hard work. So the preparation for the later stages happens early on in the valuation process as well.
What are some of the, big misconceptions business owners have about the true worth of their business? What do they think?
Well, sometimes because of the attachment that I alluded to earlier, they're thinking that it's worth, say $2 or $3 million when it could only be worth, like 500,000. just simply because of that emotional connection that they have, almost literally to their baby, if you will. Other times they have absolutely no idea what the market would think it's worth. And so from that point of view, there's an education process with every business owner that I meet. Even if they've sold a business or two before, chances are they may not have really gone about the valuation properly from evaluator's perspective, if you will. But it's one of those things where it's the business owners I work with are all over the place, as far as sometimes they just don't know what it's worth. Sometimes they have an over exaggerated opinion of the value, and other times they're on the other side of things. They think they don't have any value in their business to sell, and meanwhile it could be worth $1 million or more, but all they see is just themselves working in the business. They're like, I'll just wind it down one day and sell all my equipment or whatever on Kijiji, and then that'll be it. But meanwhile, they could be really leaving literally a lot of money on the table, and hurting themselves and their employees and their customers, by not at least engaging my services to start with, or other business broker professionals to say, hey, you know what, is there actually something here that can't be sold?
You mentioned emotion. So I'm wondering, do these business owners have any fears attached to getting their business valued? Do they have fear in that and in the process or anything? And how does that affect their, approach to selling?
Oh, for sure. So, these business owners have been in charge of their businesses for right from the get-go, right? They're the ones where whatever they say goes. The decisions they make, everybody kind of says yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, whatever the scenario is, and off they go. So now, with letting someone coming in and looking at the books and looking at their operations, it's like, okay, what are they going to say about some of the things that they might find that I'm doing? Say that they could tell me that what I'm doing isn't the best interest for the business, or it's causing my business harm from a valuation perspective, or the like. It's like, what's somebody going to think when they look at all my books, and then are they going to tell me I've got nothing, or are they going to actually be like, yeah, I can help you. You got a really good business here. It's like that fear of the unknown is definitely there for a lot of them.
Is there a big mistake or a pitfall that you commonly see business owners make when it comes time to seeking a valuation for their business?
So there's a few of that, for sure. One of the big ones is I would suggest getting a proper opinion of the value of your business for what it is you're looking to, for the reason you're looking to get the valuation done. So there's lots of reasons to get a valuation done for the business. Say you have a partner dispute and you want to buy the other person out. That's a slightly different valuation than when you're actually going to prepare the business to going to market. If you're being, if you have a divorce, or if you're going to be doing a freeze on the value of the business for future means. There's all different kinds of tax purposes as well. So there's lots of different reasons why you would need to have a valuation done. But if you're actually going to market, getting a business valuated from a person that does it normally for tax purposes, or the like, or for CRA disputes, they're not necessarily going to have the same understanding that I do of what a buyer is going to be looking for, and what they will be looking to do with the business after the fact. So there's many discrepancies that can be happening between the different methods for doing it and the reasons for doing it. Another thing is that there are companies that will offer to value your business, but unless they have experience or knowledge of the local market, or at least regional market that you're operating in, because there's plenty of companies that will do it in the States, or even different parts of Canada. But if they're not necessarily familiar with the area that you're operating in, and the results that they could produce could be totally way off base, and you could be operating from a totally incorrect perspective when if you're using that result to help you go to market. And they could also charge you a pretty penny. I know that some companies can charge you almost up to $50,000 to want to do one. And it's like, you better be serious about making sure that you're getting the proper value for that kind of an investment, for sure.
Jim, before I ask you my last question, is there anything I didn't think to ask you in regards to business valuation that you feel is important to share with business owners?
Well, one thing that definitely comes to mind, Mark, is it's not necessarily from business owners more often than not, but quite often it's from the buyer side of things when they're inquiring on a business that is for sale and there's a price advertised for it. I always hear quite often I hear this, well, what multiple did you use when buying a business? And that's a term that goes around. Everybody hears it. They say it all the time on the news and so forth. And it's not that simple. Like the word multiple, well, what multiple are you referring to? Are you referring to a multiple of 1 year's sales? Are you referring to a multiple of 1 year's EBITDA, earnings before interest, depreciation, taxes, and amortization? Or are you referring to the multiple on seller's discretionary earnings, or a different one? And when we're trying to establish a value for a business, it's never as simple as just using one multiple for one straight year. Again, that process I alluded to is really intense and involved, and it can take several, sometimes up to several hundred hours, depending on the nature of the business. That it's never just that simple. When somebody asks me a multiple, I'm like, yeah, your guess is as good as mine, because there wasn't one. There wasn't just one single multiple that was used on one specific value. So there's a lot of education that I have to do with buyers as well on that type of thing. I think they just, it makes them sound like they're using the lingo of the industry. They're trying to get them into the conversation. And I get that, but it's just not the right way to use it, unfortunately.
Jim, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. I hope you and everyone else has an amazing rest of the day. So if you enjoyed this video and want more real world information about buying, selling, and or valuing a business, feel free to connect with me directly on LinkedIn or through my website at trilliumbusinessbrokerage.com. Either way, I'd love to connect and keep the conversation going.